Hello everyone, welcome our thesis presentation program. Today again we have another special guest. Firstly, I would like to thank her for accepting our invitation and briefly introduce herself to you. Dr. Mehdi Agazadeh is an Iranian Turkish scholar specialized on Iranian studies. She received her PhD degree from the Department of Political Science and International Relations at the Istanbul University in 2020. Currently, she is working as a lecturer in the Department of International Relations at Istanbul Aydın University. Her PhD dissertation, titled The Image of Iran in Turkey, aims to expand the horizon of Iranian studies both in Turkey and elsewhere. Dr. Agazadeh has published several research articles, including International Sanctions and Their Impact on Iran's Economy, Iran's Security and the Islamic State Through the Lenses of the Copenhagen School, and Iran, Political Islam and Democracy. Now we may listen to Dr. Agazadeh's presentation.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me. It is a great pleasure for me to have this chance to talk about my recently defended PhD thesis, which is about the image of Iran in Turkey. So please let me use this chance to thank my PhD supervisor, Professor Dr. Yunuskaya, who helped me a lot during this research. To begin, I should mention that I am an Iranian Turkish who lives in Istanbul about 15 years, which can sufficiently explain the reason of my interest in Iranian-Turkish relation studies. So during my life in Istanbul, I noticed that there is a general misinformation about the neighboring country, Iran, in Turkey, and that I felt that there is a general negative image on Iranians. So this was an starting point for me to do some academic research on this. And I came with a PEW, Pew Research Center data analysis. So as I found that the data very insufficient and incomplete, I decided to gather my own data, and I very successfully passed this stage and I tried to find the answer of the question that what is the image of Iran in Turkey, both among general public and elite, and what are the determinants of this image. So let me just open the presentation file that I have been prepared before. Yes, one moment, please. Yeah. So I just want to make sure if it's, yeah, true, okay. So in order to start, I would like to talk about the scope of the study and the significance of the research, that why is Iran's image in Turkey important? I would like to start with Meral, who stated that the Turkish public remains deeply mistrustful of Iran, and the number of Turks visiting Iran, academic and policy experts in Iran, and Turks who speak Farsi remains too low. Also, Sharifullah Durrani has well explained the theoretical and empirical evidence of the debate between liberals and realists about the effect of public opinion on the foreign policy of a country. In a nutshell, I should explain that realism claims that the public opinion is emotional, is irrational, is easily shiftable, and lacks structure and coherence, and it can be manipulated by the leaders from the top. But in contrast, the liberal theories find public opinion to be relatively stable, it's sensibly structured, it's consistent, is consequently impactful on foreign policy, as presidents take into consideration public opinion when making foreign policy decisions, of course. So in this research, in line with liberal theories of public opinion, it has been considered that the public opinion of Turkish people can have a significant impact on Turkish foreign policy toward Iran. Thus, it should be studied in detail. by improving the two rivals' image at home, a more convergent relation can be established. A review of literature has not revealed a comprehensive analysis of Turkish public opinion about Iran, its government, and its people. So this study aims to fill this gap in the literature. Again, there are going to be like 5 important issues that are going to mention in this dissertation. So firstly, the determinant of the perception of Iran in Turkey. Only by acknowledging the determinants of a foreign policy, one can understand the image of a country, and an image of a country can strengthen, in that case, in international perception. And secondly, there are so many Iranians who visit Turkey every year. There are so many Iranian and Turkish businessmen who are visiting each other, but there would be a question that if this contact may result to a positive perception of each other among these two countries. So this is why the implication of contact theory has been considered in this thesis. And this study intended to realize if this negative image would only belong to the current government of Iran, or also it's belong to the Iranian people as well or not. And also not only the Turkish public view, but also the Turkish elite view has been considered. And this study, I should mention that it does not aim to analyze the history and the structure of the relation between Iran and Turkey. So in sum, the dissertation provides a general framework to understand the determinants of the image of Iran and Iranian people and Turkey, and a huge amount of data for further academic investigations about the links between Turkish people's perception of Iranians and how it's linked with the Iranian-Turkish political relation. So there are 4 main research objectives. The first one is, what is Turkish public perception towards Iran and Iranians in terms of their view toward the Iranian state, their religion, Turkish security and identity. The second question is, what is the Turkish elite perception towards Iran and Iranians in terms of same issues? And how does the opinion of Turkish public compare to the opinion of Turkish elite towards Iranian and Iran change? And what are the determinants of the perception of Iran in Turkey? So this research is going to answer these 4 main questions. The methodology that has been used in this thesis is based primarily on quantitative analysis of primary data and secondary data, both of which represent the population. The primary data constitutes a sizable sample with a total of 1,271 respondents from 12 different cities of Turkey that has been collected on not-sphere level. And all the data were collected by conducting a face-to-face questionnaire among Turkish citizens who were 18 and who were living in Turkey as well. And the primary data includes 2 subgroups, one general population and the second as elites. And secondary data come from, as we mentioned, PEW Research Center's Global Attitudes and Trends Analysis Project. And the main statistical method that has been utilized in this study is the ordered logistic regression model. And in addition, there are some extra methods used, like descriptive statistics, reliable alpha test, and Pearson correlation coefficient test that has been applied to the data of this study. Of course, the literature review of the dissertation consists a huge part, 1 chapter, of course. In this presentation, I escaped to go through the details of this literature because of the limitation of time. However, in the research, you would find like country image and perception, both definition and the literature on this issue, the elite concept and theories, the contact theory, the background of Turkish-Iranian relation in 3 different aspects, like before the Islamic Revolution, after the revolution, and contemporary relations. So just to mention some important literature, I will just mention some and skip to go detail truly. I guess I should mention that about the country image and perception definition, of course, that we can go forward with the next step. And I've chosen the Elena Shestofel definition of political perception as the process of reflection of parties, states, and leaders in public mentality, and image as the main elements that constitute this process. So we can say that political image reflects people's needs, motivations, emotions, cognitions, concepts like stereotypes, values, and demand of public to authorities. The concept of image was firstly defined by Kenneth Boldig as total cognitive, affective, and evaluative structure of the behavioral unit, or its internal view of itself and its universe. So one can say that human behavior depends on the image that they have. One more important definition belongs to Robert Jervis, who focused on the popularity of the image concept to explore intergovernmental relation. And he said that images have been widely used in international relations literature to illustrate the behavior of states, and governments always trying to control the image of themselves. At present, there has been relatively little analysis of perception toward Iranian people and its government. There is no research available from the image of Iran in Turkey. What has proliferated as the literature of the Turkish-Iranian relationship, and we don't have more than this. I mean, when we go deeply into the literature. I would like just make some mention about the elite concept and theories, because we have used the elite segmentation data in this study, and that's why I'm just going to mention some. So the first studies of elite concept and theory were suggested by two social scientists, Pareto and Mosca. And Pareto viewed elite as a ruling or governing class of a society, and he takes elite as the strongest, the most energetic, and the most capable for goods and as well as evil. On the other hand, Mosca propounded elites as a minority group of society who control the ruled class, and they monopolize the power and perform all political functions. And Mosca claims that there are two classes in our societies, that one class who rules and the other who is being ruled. And the ruling class is always less numerous, it performs all political function, it monopolizes the power and enjoy the advantages of the power that they hold. So the ruled class is more numerous, but is directed and controlled by the ruling class. Elite theory became more important topic after the Second World War, especially with Mill's power elite, that assumes that people of the power elite who are in command of the major hierarchies can affect the everyday life of ordinary people by concentration of information and also control of power. So what about the elite concept in Turkey? Just to mention some important stage of development of this concept in Turkey, I should mention that the elite concept in this country has been taken different definitions from time to time. For example, during the Ottoman Empire, the men of Tanzimat became the ruling elite of the Ottoman Empire. And in explaining the behavior and policies of the men of Tanzimat, Stanford J. Shaw has mostly emphasized the educational and social background of individuals to being considered as the ruling elite. Also, Joseph Shuvalizik explains how emergence of some schools like Galatasaray School, Mulkiye, Harbiye are interrelated to the rise of modern Turkey. So in his word, Harbiye plus Mulkiye equals Türkiye. by considering this definition, we would come to the elite definition that we have used in this study. In this thesis, we did not, the elite concept has do nothing with the Turkish experience of the ruling elite, and instead it refers itself to the Cambridge Dictionary definition of elites that consider the elite word as belonging to the richest, most powerful, best educated, and best trained group in a society. Thus, elite in this thesis are defined as those who are graduated from university degrees level with a family monthly income between 8,000 to 8,500 Turkish lira on average, which is like 4 times of a minimum wage in Turkey. So as such, elite in this study have university degrees, and they have supplied with, in this university degree, supply them to do some special expert knowledge, to have some occupations like a government officer, to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, journalist, academicians, and so on. So just to mention the important contact theory that has been used in this thesis, I should mention that this theory has been originated from Allport's study, in which he emphasized that contact has to be between groups with equal status who incorporate common goals, and that there should be a cooperation between these groups. And in Allport's contact hypothesis, he says that prejudice may be reduced by equal status contact between majority and minority groups in persuasion of common goal. In addition, I would like to mention Wegner and colleagues' study in Germany, who shows that shows increasing size of minority groups create an opportunity for intergroup contact and reduce prejudice among the members of the dominant group in the country. And also UNESCO asserts that the key to improving social relation is contact between members of different groups. So as important implementation of contact theory in this study, we would like to see if contact among Turkish and Iranian people would decrease their prejudice against each other, and if it would increase Turkish positive feeling toward Iranians or not. In the next chapter, which we have started with, analyzing the secondary data, which belongs to PEW Research Center. Just to mention that about this center, it defines itself as a non-profit, non-partisan fact tank that enriches the public dialogue and gives information about the issues, attitudes, and trends shaping the world. So by conducting research on a wide range of topics, the center helped United States and international policymakers and the public at large to understand and address some of the world's most challenging problems. We use the data from this center, and I should mention about the methodology, of course, that this center has applied. All the data of survey for this global attitudes and trend analysis project has been used based on telephone or face-to-face interviews, and the sample size used in this study for every country is about like 1,000 people on average. The number of countries actually vary every year, but the maximum number is 38 countries in 2017. And for results based on full sample in each survey country, there is 95% confidence that the error attribute to sampling data. So actually, I should here mention one part, that analyzing this data was really a huge work, because we have to extract all the year-by-year data coming from PEW Research Center, and we choose those questions that are related to Iran and Turkey. And then we went into analyzing, setting the data in a proper way and then analyzing them. That's why at the back of these tables and figures, there is a huge work I just wanted to mention. And I tried to just put the end result in this presentation. So according to this figure that you can see, in all of the studied years, at least 37% of Turkish respondents has a very unfavorable view toward Iran. On the other hand, very favorable view never exceeded more than 5.8%, and somewhat favorable views average for all of the studied year is about 16%. So the table obviously represents the fact that Turkish people have a generally negative view toward Iran. However, this study cannot show us if they have an unfavorable view toward the Iranian state, the people, or both. So in this table, we tried to show the image of Iranian president in Turkey for 9 years according to Pew Global Attitudes Project data. I should mention that what was obvious in last figure was that was quite high percentage, like about 57% of very unfavorable views were related to 2014 year. The reason for this partly lay behind the Turkish people view toward Iranian presidents. As you can see here in 2000, after 13 to 14, reformist-backed cleric Hassan Rouhani became Iran president, just after President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who was Iran's president from 2005 to 2013. And as shown in this table, there was a relatively higher confidence in President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in 2012 compared to previous years as well. While there is an average of like 4.2% of a lot of confidence and 11% of some confidence for the years between 2007 and 2011, there is around 10% of a lot of confidence and about 24% of some confidence in President Ahmadinejad in 2012. However, in 2014, 1 year just after President Rouhani was elected, only 3% of Turkish respondents have a very favorable view, and 7% of them had a somewhat favorable view toward him, all of which could modify the general view towards Iran in Turkish respondent polls and cause the 2014 unfavorable rate to increase so much. In this figure, we try to show the Turkish, to make a comparison between Turkish people view toward different countries and organizations that has been studied in PEW Research Center from 2002 to 2017. The figure shows that how Turkish people view toward Iran, the United States, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the European Union, toward Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hamas, Hezbollah has changed during the time. So what we can see here is why Turkish people view toward Iran has had a lot of up and downs. Their view toward other countries or organizations is nearly steady. And from 2002 to 2010, Turkish people were more negative toward USA than Iran. And this trend has changed after 2010, and their view toward Iran became more negative than United States for most of the years. In next two slides, we applied Pearson correlation analysis and Spearman rank order correlation analysis because the data is in time series data and the number of observations are different for various countries. An annual average has been applied in order to apply correlation analysis. And after applying descriptive analysis, Pearson correlation analysis and Spearman rank order correlation analysis has been employed by using EVU program. As data used in this research were Likert scale and there were not continuous type, Spearman correlation coefficient has been applied as well. So according to the data type employed in this research, Spearman correlation coefficient results are more accurate and more appropriate for correlation analysis, as the result of correlation shows that there were no statistically significant correlation at a 5% significance level, so no regression analysis has been employed in this stage. Also, unit root test has been applied to all the data, and all variables are stationary so that we can run correlation analysis and the result would be reliable. The results support that there is no statistically significant correlation between variables at 5% significance level, which indicates that there is no relation between Turkish people's view toward Iran and their view toward other countries. However, one should mention that at 10% significant level, there is a strong correlation between Turkish people's view toward the United States and the European Union. And also the results support that at 10% significant level, again, there is a strong correlation between Turkish people's view toward China and Russia. The next chapter is going to start the data methodology and all the results related to public respondents in Turkey, which is primary data here. Data for analysis were collected by conducting a face-to-face questionnaire on Turkish respondents aged 18 and living in Turkey. The sample size include 1,150 respondents in Notsphere level, and in which respondents were from 12 different cities of Turkey that you can see the percentage in the charts here. And in terms of methods, the result of data analysis will be first presented as descriptive statistic, and then the result of logistic regression model will be presented as causality analysis. So just to have a look inside the data, we can see that in terms of education, only 19% of the respondents are graduated from university. We are just talking about the public respondents. And 8.6% of the respondents are not educated at all. So it means that they never attended or not graduated, attended school or not graduated from universities. So most of the total monthly income of this, the public, general public, are from 2,501 Turkish lira to 3,500 Turkish lira. And we can see the age, like around 15% are from 18 to 24, like 23% from 25 to 34 years old, and the actually the most number of respondents are from young population, which is like about 23%. And it's like around half of are male and female, and 65% of respondents are married, and 28% are single, and the rest are either widow, divorce, or no answer for this part. So the first table shows the view of Turkish general public respondents toward Iran, and we actually here we compare the current study analysis, which is like on 2019, with 11 years result of the PEW Global Research Attitude Project. So according to this table, 16% of respondents have a very unfavorable view toward Iran, and most of the respondents, like 36.9%, are neutral. The average of the result is about 2.74 out of 5. This is somewhere between like somewhat unfavorable and neutral views toward Iran. And compared with same answers for the same question for PU Global Attitudes Project of 2017, if not considering the neutral answers for 2019 respondents, there is a 30% decrease in very unfavorable view of Turkish people toward Iran in 2019. At the same time, the very unfavorable view of Turkish people toward Iran has increased from 1.43% to 5.2%. And their somewhat favorable view has increased from 13.81 to 19%. It should be mentioned that respondents believe that, among others, firstly, media, like including TV, newspaper, radio, and journals. Second, social media. Third, books. Fourth, friends, ideas. Fifth, the Iranians that they know before or they observe. And lastly, music has affected their idea about Iran and Iranians the most. In this table, we evaluated the Turkish public respondent view towards security issues in the Middle East. Although the average of respondents believe that Turkey slightly contributes to peace and stability in the Middle East, there are about 24% of respondents who slightly or strongly do not agree with this. In addition, while the average of respondents believe that Iran is not a threat for Turkish security and Turkey should build a strong relationship with Iran, they believe that Iran policy is contributing to a sectarian division in Arab world. It does not take the interests of other countries in the Middle East into account, and it is not working to promote peace and stability in the region. So regarding Iran's nuclear program, the average of nuclear program, the average of Turkish public respondents believes that if Iran continues its nuclear program, the international community should not authorize military action and the USA should not apply or increase sanctions on Iran. But they generally do not agree with Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon, and they do not believe that Iran pursue a nuclear program would be for peaceful purposes. So likewise, the average of respondents does not support Iran action politics in Syria and Iraq. In comparison, the average of Turkish public respondents believe that firstly, the United States, then Saudi Arabia, then Russia, and after all of them, Iran, do not contribute to peace and stability in the Middle East. So what is obvious from the result is that Turkish people definitely do not believe that Iran is a role model for their country. And it is interesting to know that Turkish general public respondents listed the most untrustworthy countries in row as Israel, Syria, United States of America, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, China, Iran, Russia, and Germany in order. According to this chart, one of the questions that we have been, before I explain the chart actually, one of the questions we have asked about Turkish general public was that, what is the first word cross your mind once you hear the word Iran? Iranian people, of course. And it was interesting to see that about 27% of answers were related to religion. These answers were include like Muslims, religious, Shias, and hijab. And about 2.7% of the answers are related to Arab people. 7% of the answers include positive words like such our brothers, cultured, respectful, educated, honest, being tolerated, friendly, trustworthy, and modern. So this figure shows that some of somewhat unfavorable and very unfavorable views, which is about 41.9%, is much more than neutral, which is 35%, and the sum of somewhat favorable and very favorable views, which is 22% views, which means that the most Turkish public respondents have generally unfavorable view toward Iranian people. In this table, order logistic regression model of view of Turkish public respondents to Iranians and various independent variables has been showed. In the first model in this table, which tests the impact of age and gender on Turkish respondents' view toward Iranians, is our base model. In the model, there is a highly significant positive effect of age of the respondents and their view toward Iranians as the 1%, at the 1% level, significance level, which means the respondents, when they get older, they have a more positive view toward Iranian people. In addition, the same model suggests that there is a positive relation between female respondents and their view toward Iranian people. Second model adds education, income, and religiosity level of the respondents to our base model. So the model shows that there is no significant relationship between education level which means having at least a university degree and more. And respondents' view toward Iranians, which direct us to the fact that if we consider highly educated people as elite, there should be not a major difference among elite and public opinion toward Iranian people. The result of this will be shown in next chapter, of course. So, moreover, there is a significant positive relation between high income level and view toward Iranians at 5% significance level. And surprisingly, there is a highly significant positive relation between being religious and the positive view toward Iranian people. The second model also shows a highly significant relationship between knowing an Iranian and the positive view toward Iranians, which confirm Alcor's contact hypothesis. The third model here evaluates the relation between Turkish people respondents' view toward Iranians and the degree that they feel themselves closer to European culture or having a positive view feeling toward Americans and Arabs. Also, they view toward Iran and the amount of the trusting that they trust Iran. So results show a highly significant positive effect of having a positive feeling toward Arabs, view to Iran and trusting Iran on respondents' view toward Iranians at the 1% level. There is also a highly significant negative relation between feeling closer to European culture and view to Iranians at 1% level, and there is no significant relationship between positive feelings toward Americans and view toward Iranian people. The fourth model examines the effect on internet usage of respondents and their view toward Iranians. And results show no meaningful relationship between using more internet and view toward Iranian people. The effect of cultural indicators on respondents' view toward Iranians have been tested in the fifth model, which suggests a highly significant relationship between Turkish public respondent view toward Iranian people and their feeling about Iranian music and movies at 1% level. There is no meaningful relationship between respondents' feeling toward Iranians and their ideas about Iranian food and language. Only about 58% of respondents knew that the official language of their neighboring country is Persian. So observing no significant relationship between respondents' view toward the Persian language and their view toward Iranian people can be justified. And finally, in sixth model, it adds the effect of all the mentioned variables all together. In this model, again, there is a significant effect of gender, which is female respondents at 5% level, feeling closer to European culture, a positive feeling toward Arabs, view toward Iran, trusting Iran, Iranian music and movies, on respondents' view toward Iranians, while other variables have no effect. So in the next table, this time we examine the order logistic regression model of view of Turkish public respondent to Iran. The previous one was toward Iranians, and this one is toward the Iran as a country and as government. Sorry, the first model in this table evaluates the relation between the age and gender of the respondents to their view toward the Islamic Republic of Iran, the government of Iran. The results show that there is no meaningful relation between the gender of the public respondents and their view towards Iran as a government. And also the first model reveals that there is no significant positive relationship between the age of the respondents and their view toward Iran at 10% level, which means when they get older, they have a more positive view toward Iran. Model 2 adds the impact of education, income, religiosity, and knowing an Iranian to the first model, and we see why the income level and education level have no significant relationship with public respondents' view toward Iran. There is a highly significant positive relationship at 1% level between the religiosity and knowing an Iranian and the respondents' view toward Iran. This implies that as the respondents get more religious, they have a more positive view toward Iran. In addition, knowing an Iranian affects as respondents' view toward Iran in a positive way. And the result of third model suggests that there is a highly significant relationship between the public respondents' view toward Iran and their positive view toward Iranians, the degree they trust Iran, believing that Iran should continue its nuclear program, and seeing Iran as a partner of Turkey, all at 1% level. In the same way, the fourth model evaluates the effect of Turkish public respondents' view toward Iranian presidents and their view toward Iran. Interestingly, there is a highly positive relation between a respondent's trust level to President Rouhani and President Ahmadinejad at 1% level. There is also a positive relationship between respondents' view toward Iran and the degree they wish trust President Hashemi Rafsanjani, who were Iran president from 1989 to 1997 at 10% level. However, very interestingly, there is no meaningful relationship between respondents' view toward Iran and their trust level to President Khatami, who was the only president of Iran who attracted global attention during his first election to the presidency, when he received almost 70% of the votes of Iranian people. According to the fifth model, there is no meaningful relationship between the degree of internet usage of the respondents and their view toward Iran. The sixth model suggests that there is a highly significant relationship between public respondents' perception and the experience of Iranian music and Iranian food at 1% level. In addition, there is a significant connection between respondents' view towards Iran and their view of Iranian movies at 5% level and Persian language at 1% level. So next chapter is considering the same issues for elite people of Turkey, elite respondents of Turkey. Regarding data, actually, I should say that only around like 121% person has been chosen for elite part. The questionnaire for elite and general public has been the same, but we add 5 open questions for elite part, and also these elite people have been chosen from 3 important cities in Turkey. Again, as I expected before, like the elite respondents' education is minimum a bachelor degree and above, and the respondents' total monthly income level of there is about like 7,500 to 8,500 Turkish lira, which is about like $1,300 to $1,500 on that time. And also about the population who participated in this like questionnaire. Most of them are, again, young population. Around 44% are from 25 to 34 years old. About 60% are male, about 39% are female, and most of them are married, but about 44% are still single, and 2.5% are divorced, and the rest are either widow or they gave no answer for this. So here, in this table, we compare Turkish elite and general public view toward Iran in general. And the table shows that elite and general public view toward Iran in general aspects, as it is obviously can be seen by the results. In all aspects, public respondents have a more positive view than elite respondents on average. And in addition, elite respondents believe that, among others, books, social media, including TV, newspaper, radio, and journals, friends' ideas, the Iranians has respondents know them or observe them, and music has been respectively affected their idea about Iran and Iranians at the most. Again, according to the results, there are 37.5 5% of Turkish elite respondents consider Iranians as very religious, 25% as quite religious, 70% as not very religious, and 7.5% as not religious at all. And 12.5% were not sure about the answer. So same as public respondents, the average of elite respondents consider Iranian people as quite religious, which is very interesting. There are like 29.8% of respondents consider Iran as a competitor of Turkey. And like 38% believe that Iran is a partner of Turkey. There are 32% of respondents, elite respondents, who did not know the answer at all. On average, among all choices, Turkish public respondents consider the Syrian civil war as the highest threat for Turkey. The next considered threats are like Iran nuclear program, Islamic extremist group, international sanctions on Iran, and political instability in Iran in order. We also asked the same question from elite respondents, that what came to your mind once you hear the Iranian people word? And the most commonly received answer from this question from elite respondents were like, in order, I should say, uneducated, Muslims, being religious, being oppressive, educated, black dress code for women, Persians, distance from global society, respectfulness, Sharia, war, neighbor country, beautiful girls, honestly, cultured, our brothers and sisters, being tolerant. So as you can see, most of the answers are rather are kind of negative, but they also include positive weight. Turkish public and elite respondents' view toward Iranian people are compared in this table, and you can see that the average of both views is close to somewhat unfavorable view, with elites being slightly more unfavorable than publics toward Iranians. Again, order logistic regression model of view of Turkish elite respondents to Iranians has been considered in this table. The first model represents the relation between age, gender, and education level of Turkish elite respondents with their view toward Iranians. And in this model, there is no significant relation between the age and education level of the elite respondents, as they all hold at least a university degree, and their view toward Iranian people. There is about 56% more possibility for a Turkish elite member to have a negative view toward Iranians if the respondent is female at 10% level. In model 2, the impact of religiosity, income level, and having their experience of knowing an Iranian have been added, and there is a highly significant relationship between knowing an Iranian and having a more positive view toward Iranian people for elite respondents. The model showed no significant relationship between the income level and religiosity degree of elite respondents and their view toward Iranians. The third model evaluates the effect of the degree that elite respondents feel closer to European culture, having positive feeling toward Americans and Arabs, their view toward Iran, and the amount they trust on Iran, and their view toward Iranian people. Results show a highly significant relationship between elite respondents' view toward Iran and their view toward Iranians at 1% level. And there is a significant relationship between the degree that the elite respondents trust Iran and their view toward Iranian people at 10% level. The effect of internet usage has been evaluated in the fourth model, and the regression analysis results show that there is no significant relationship between the elite respondents' view who do not use the internet and those who use the internet 4 to 7 hours a day, which is like mid usage of internet category, and the respondents' view toward Iranians at 5% and 10% level, respectively. Model 5 evaluates the impact of cultural indicators, like including the impact of Iranian movies, Iranian music, food, language, and on elite respondents' view toward Iranians. And in this model, only being interested in Persian language had a significant effect and not others. And while Iranian movies and Iranian music had a highly significant effect on public respondents, it shows that no meaningful impact on elite respondents and their view toward Iranians. So finally, model 6 adds all the variable effects together, and in this model, view of elite respondents toward Iran and Iranian language have a significant effect at 1% and 5% level, respectively, while other variables are having actually no effect. The same order logistic model has of elite respondents' view toward Iranian government has been considered. Again, here the first model in table assesses the effect of age, gender, and education level on elite respondents' view toward Iran as a government, in which none of the variables show a significant effect. The lack of any significant effect of age, gender, education level suggests that among Turkish elite respondents, there is no difference among being male or female, being young or old, or holding a university degree or PhD in their view towards Iran. The second model has the effect of the income level of the elite respondents, their religiosity degree, and having the experience of knowing an Iranian. And the result shows that none of the variables are significant, but just knowing an Iranian. This means having a contact or knowing an Iranian for elite respondents highly increase their positive view toward Iran as a country and as a government. In the third model, the impact of having a positive view toward Iranian, trusting Iran, considering Iran as a threat for Turkish security, believing Iran should continue its nuclear program, and seeing Iran as a partner of Turkey on Turkish elite respondents' view toward Iran have been examined. So results show that there is a positive significant relationship between having a positive view toward Iranian and having a positive view toward Iran at 1% level. In addition, there is a positive significant relationship between the degree to which elite respondents trust Iran and their positive view toward Iran at 5% level. And the model also represents a meaningful relationship between a positive view toward Iran and the respondents believing that Iran should continue its nuclear program at 10% level, and also seeing Iran as a partner of Turkey as 5% level. The fourth model evaluates the effect of the elite respondents' view toward Iranian presidents from President Hashemi Rafsanjani to President Rouhani, and the results support that there is no significant relationship between the elite respondents' view toward Iranian presidents and their view toward Iran. This means that the elite respondents' view toward Iran is detached from their view toward Iranian president and their acts, which may suggest either they have no enough information about the president, or they see Iran and the policies of the state of Iran as independent from acts of their presidents. The impact of the amount of internet usage in a day on elite respondents' view toward Iran was assessed in the fifth model, and we can see there is only a positive significant relationship between those who do not use the internet at all, or those who use a middle level of internet in day, which has been considered as like 4 to 7 hours a day, and they view toward Iran. The sixth model evaluates the impact of cultural indicators, and it can be seen that there is a positive significant relation between elite respondent perception of Iranian food and their view toward Iran at 5% level. And finally, at model 7, it adds all the variables together, and it suggests a positive significant relation between female and elite respondents and their view toward Iran at 10% level, having a positive view of elite respondents toward Iranians at 1% level, the degree of trusting Iran at 5% level with their view toward Iran. In addition, the results of the model suggest that seeing Iran as a partner of Turkey has a positive significant relation with the view of elite respondents toward Iran at 5% level. Also, using low, middle, and high level of internet have a positive significant effect of elite respondents' view on Iran, and none of the other variables show any significant results. So we come up with the conclusion of this analysis, data analysis, and in a nutshell, we can say that while this dissertation has been expected to see more differentiation between elite and general public view towards Iran, the result for different determinants of perception of Iran in Turkey are mostly convergent among the public and elite. Elite respondents do have a more positive view toward President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad than general public respondent. And in addition, compared to President Rouhani, there is a more favorable view toward President Ahmadinejad from both elite and general public of Turkey. Overall, this dissertation supports the position that the view of Turkish people toward both Iran and the Iranian states is unfavorable. However, there is a slightly more positive view toward Iranian people rather than the government. The analysis supported a positive relation between knowing an Iranian and having a more positive view toward Iranians for Turkish respondents, and this result affirms that contact theory and the contact theory, and that it can be considered as another practical example to support this theory for sure. And while only a few of Turkish public and elite respondents have been abroad before, those who have traveled to a foreign country feel their culture is closer to Iranian culture. And there is a positive link between respondents' age and having more positive view toward Iranian people, suggesting older people were members of Iran before the Islamic Revolution, actually. There is no significant correlation between Turkish people view toward Iran and their view toward other countries. Both Turkish elites and public respondents generally disagree with the applying or increasing US sanctions on Iran, but they do not agree with Iran continuing its nuclear program and obtaining, of course, nuclear weapon. The average of both public and elite respondents consider Iranian people as quite religious. There is highly positive relation between Turkish people view toward Iranians and female respondents, income level of the respondents, and the degree of religiosity, their connection with Iranian music and movies, their having positive feelings toward Arabs, the view of Iran, and the degree to which they trust Iran. While Iranian movie and music had a very significant effect on public respondents and their view toward Iranians, it is very interesting to see that Persian language had a significant effect on elite respondents. So thank you for listening, and thank you for allocating me this time to talk about my dissertation. Yes, I'm yours, Mr. Mars.
Dr. Agazade, we are thankful for your informative and insightful presentation. You can close now your PowerPoint. Mm-hmm. Actually, you have successfully went through plenty of quantitative data, and you have reached some solid conclusions, I believe. But I would like to ask a question to conclude this presentation, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Do you have any suggestions to improve the unfavorable image of Iran in Turkey based on your thesis findings?
Yes, of course. I should mention that there are some important findings which were very interesting actually for me myself. That there is, first of all, there is a very meaningful relationship between being female and having a more positive view toward Iran in Turkey. So actually, I mean, the relation between being female and relation to having a view toward Iran means that maybe the special policies toward Iranian women in the country can have an effect on this. And also regarding the, once this study has confirmed the contact theory, we can say that more contact between Iranian and Turkish people in a more programmed way can increase the less prejudice against each other, and that they can have a more positive view toward each other, all of which can establish a more stable roots among both cultures. And of course, the policy of Iran really affects the view of Turkish people toward both Iran and Iranians. However, the important issue is that the cultural aspects are very important. So cultural components can have an important role here. That's why maybe Iranian governments and Turkish government may work on the culture likes among these two countries much more, and they may make some mutual movies, mutual cultural events, and so on. And just one more thing is that it is very important to continue this path, like to assessing the perception and image of countries. For example, this time maybe image of Turkey in Iran, and the continuous of this image, to see how it changed during the time with different policies, and maybe to see the reverse, that how the image of Turkey is going on in Iran.
Thank you for your answer. I think this presentation was very helpful for our listeners. So we are ending this presentation for today, and finally we wish healthy days for all our listeners, and see you in the next presentation.
Thank you very much. I also thank everyone who listened to this presentation, and I hope you all the best.